There is a particular kind of person, the person everyone depends on, the one people call when life becomes difficult, the one who always answers, the one who always understands, the one who somehow finds the right words when everyone else has nothing to say. They are described as kind, reliable, patient, strong. But there is something nobody asks about these people, something hidden beneath the image everyone has created of them. Who are they when nobody needs anything from them? Because sometimes the person who gives the most is the person who has slowly disappeared the most, not because someone forced them to, not because they consciously chose it, but because somewhere along the way, being needed started feeling safer than being known. And that difference changes everything. Think about the last time someone came to you with a problem. Maybe they needed advice. Maybe they needed emotional support. Maybe they needed someone to listen. And you were there. You always are. You put your own thoughts aside. You put your own exhaustion aside. You told yourself, it's okay. I can handle it. They need me. And maybe they did. Maybe they truly did need you. But the question most people avoid asking is, did they need you or did they value you? Because those two things are not the same. A person can become incredibly important to others and still feel completely invisible. Because being needed creates a strange illusion. It makes you feel valuable. It makes you feel like you have a place, like your existence matters. But sometimes the value people attach to you is not because of who you are. It is because of what you provide. Your attention, your patience, your forgiveness, your emotional energy, your ability to make difficult situations easier. And the most painful part? Many people don't realize this until they stop giving. Until one day, they become tired. Not physically tired, something deeper. A tiredness that sleep cannot fix. The exhaustion of always being the understanding one. Always being the person who adjusts. Always being the person who says, don't worry about me. I'll be fine. It's not a big deal. When deep inside, it was a big deal. It always was. But they learned something dangerous. They learned that their needs created discomfort. Their honesty created tension. Their boundaries created disappointment. So they adapted. They became easier. Easier to talk to. Easier to rely on. Easier to forgive. Easier to forget. Until one day, they no longer knew if they were being kind or if they were simply afraid of being rejected. This is where Carl Jung's understanding of the human psyche becomes deeply relevant. Jung believed that every person develops what he called the persona. A social mask created to interact with the world. The persona itself is not a bad thing. Everyone has one. We all adjust ourselves depending on the situation. The version of you at work may not be the same version of you at home. The version of you with friends may not be the same version of you with family. This is normal. This is part of being human. The danger begins when the mask becomes so comfortable that you forget there is someone underneath it, when the role becomes more important than the person playing it, when being the helper becomes more important than being yourself. Many people spend years building an identity around being needed. They become the responsible one, the peaceful one, the one who never causes problems, the one everyone can count on. And at first, this identity feels rewarding. People praise you, people admire you, people come to you, you feel important. But slowly, a hidden cost appears. Because when everyone loves the version of you that always gives, what happens when that version no longer exists? This is the moment many people experience confusion. They don't suddenly hate others. They don't stop caring. They simply begin noticing something they ignored for years. The relationship was not always balanced. The friendship was not always mutual. The connection was not always based on who they truly were. Sometimes, it was based on the role they played, and this realization hurts, because it forces a difficult question. If I stop helping, if I stop fixing, if I stop sacrificing, will they still choose me? Many people are afraid to discover the answer, so they continue. They continue giving. They continue understanding. They continue shrinking themselves, because uncertainty feels more frightening than exhaustion. But eventually, something inside begins to change. A quiet voice appears, a voice that has been ignored for years. It doesn't scream, it doesn't demand revenge, it simply asks, where am I in all of this? And that question is where transformation begins. The hardest part about seeing the truth is that the truth rarely arrives dramatically. There is no single moment where everything becomes clear. No dramatic confrontation, no perfect explanation. Usually, it arrives quietly, through small moments, small disappointments, small realizations. You notice that some people only reach out when they need something. You notice that certain conversations always return to their problems. You notice that your support is expected, but your struggles are barely noticed. At first, you make excuses. Maybe they are busy, maybe they don't realize, maybe they are going through something. And sometimes, those things are true. But sometimes, the pattern has been there for years. You simply weren't ready to see it, because seeing it means accepting something painful. Some relationships survive, not because two people are connected, but because one person keeps carrying the weight, and the person carrying the weight often convinces themselves, this is what love looks like. This is what loyalty means. This is what a good person does. But Jung understood something important about human behavior. We don't only hide things from other people. Sometimes, we hide things from ourselves. We create explanations that protect our identity. Because if you have always believed, I am the person who helps everyone, I am the person who never gives up on people, I am the person who understands, then admitting that someone has been taking advantage of your kindness creates an internal conflict. Because now you have to ask, was I loving them? Or was I trying to prove that I was worthy of being loved? This is where the shadow appears. Jung believed that every person has parts of themselves they do not fully accept. The shadow contains emotions, desires, and truths that we often reject because they don't match the image we want to have. For someone who has built their identity around being endlessly kind, their shadow may contain anger. The anger they never allowed themselves to feel, the frustration they always dismissed, the resentment they buried because they believed good people should not feel that way. But the shadow does not disappear because you ignore it. It waits. It appears in exhaustion, in emotional distance, in the strange feeling that something is wrong, even when everything looks normal. Because a part of you knows you have been giving away pieces of yourself to maintain an image. This is why some people experience guilt when they finally set boundaries. They are not only afraid of disappointing others, they are confronting the version of themselves they have protected for years. The version who was always available, always patient, always forgiving, always easy to understand. And when they stop being that person, they feel like they are betraying who they are. But maybe the opposite is true. Maybe they are finally meeting who they are. There is a difference between kindness and self-abandonment. Kindness says, I choose to help because it reflects who I am. Self-abandonment says, I have to help because I am afraid of what happens if I don't. One comes from freedom, the other comes from fear, and many people confuse the two. A person who truly loves you may appreciate what you give, but they will also care about what giving costs you. They will notice when you are tired. They will ask how you are doing. They will want your presence, not just your usefulness. Because love is not built on endless access. It is built on mutual recognition. This is why boundaries reveal so much about people. Not because boundaries change others, but because boundaries remove the version of you they had unlimited access to. And when that happens, some people will suddenly act differently. The person who always called you kind may call you selfish. The person who admired your patience may become frustrated when you stop tolerating everything. The person who loved your availability may accuse you of changing. But notice something. They often don't say, "I miss who you are." They say, "I miss how you used to be." There is a difference. One is about you. The other is about what you provided. Carl Jung wrote about the process of becoming whole. He called it individuation, the journey of moving away from living only according to external expectations and moving toward a deeper relationship with yourself. It is not becoming selfish. It is not becoming cold. It is not rejecting everyone. It is simply refusing to disappear. Because a person who has spent years being everything for everyone eventually reaches a point where they have to answer a difficult question. If nobody needed me tomorrow, would I still know who I am? That question can be uncomfortable because many people have spent their entire lives measuring their worth through usefulness. They became valuable in their own minds because they were needed. But your existence was never supposed to be a service you provide. You are not only valuable when you solve problems. You are not only important when you sacrifice. You are not only worthy when someone benefits from your presence. And this is the realization that changes everything. The moment you stop asking, "How can I make everyone comfortable?" and start asking, "What is true for me?" That is the beginning of returning to yourself. The moment you stop abandoning yourself, something unexpected happens. You begin seeing your relationships differently, not with hatred, not with bitterness, but with clarity. You start noticing the difference between someone who appreciates you and someone who depends on your inability to say no. You start noticing the difference between someone who loves your presence and someone who only loves your availability. You start noticing the difference between connection and attachment built around what you provide. And this realization can feel lonely at first, because when you stop playing a role, some people no longer know how to interact with you. The person who was always understanding now has opinions. The person who was always patient now has limits. The person who was always available now has priorities. And to people who benefited from the old version of you, this can feel like a loss. But what they are losing is not you. They are losing access to the version of you that had no boundaries. This is one of the most difficult lessons in human relationships. Sometimes people do not miss who you are. They miss how you made them feel. They miss the comfort, the attention, the constant reassurance, the certainty that you would always be there. But a relationship that only works when one person keeps sacrificing was never truly balanced. It was an agreement where one person paid the price. Carl Jung understood that becoming yourself requires a separation from the expectations that once defined you. This is the process of individuation, the movement toward becoming a complete person. Not the person others created, not the person you became to survive, but the person underneath all the adaptations. And this journey requires something most people avoid: the courage to disappoint others. Because if your entire identity was built around being accepted, then authenticity will feel dangerous. Saying what you really think will feel uncomfortable. Creating distance will feel cruel. Choosing yourself will feel selfish. But those feelings do not always mean you are doing something wrong. Sometimes they are simply signs that you are doing something unfamiliar. Think about a person who has worn a heavy mask for decades. At first, the mask protects them. It helps them belong. It helps them survive. But eventually, the mask becomes heavy. The person forgets they are wearing it. They start believing, "This is just who I am. I'm just the one who helps. I'm just the one who understands. I'm just the one who never needs anything." But there is a difference between who you are and who you learn to become. That difference is where freedom begins. The goal is not to stop caring. The goal is not to become cold. The goal is not to treat everyone as an enemy. The goal is to stop confusing love with self-erasure, because real kindness does not require you to disappear. Real compassion does not require you to betray yourself. Real connection does not require one person to constantly shrink so another person can feel comfortable. The strongest version of you is not the person who needs nobody. It is the person who can love others without abandoning themselves. The person who can give without destroying themselves. The person who can help without needing to be needed. And maybe the most important question you can ask yourself is this: if I stopped performing the version of myself that everyone expects, who would I become? Would you still be loved? Would you still belong? Would you still have value? The answer is yes, because your worth was never created by what you provide. It existed before anyone needed anything from you. Sometimes the greatest act of self-respect is not walking away from everyone. It is finally returning to yourself. The moment you stop living only to be useful is the moment you begin discovering who you truly are. And maybe that is the hidden lesson Carl Jung was pointing toward all along. The journey was never about becoming someone new. It was about removing everything that was never truly you. If this video made you question a part of yourself that you have ignored for too long, continue this journey into the hidden psychology of human behavior, because understanding others begins with finally understanding yourself. Welcome to Power by Silence, where we explore the unseen forces behind human behavior, identity, discipline, and the psychology that shapes the way we live. Power is never loud. It begins in silence.